Welcome back to Braves Bullpen. It's playoff edition. It is October 6th, Friday, day before the NLDS. I know we had the opportunity to record last week, but in reality, there was really no news to talk about. So we thought, you know what? Why don't we wait until the end of the wild card round? That way we can do a full NLDS preview show. Gardie, obviously, we're going to have a lot to talk about. Let's go right and kind of recap the regular season before we dive deep into this Philadelphia series. The Atlanta Braves finishing 104-58, good for best record in baseball. 307 team home runs, tying the 2019 Minnesota Twins for the single season team record. Ronald Acuna Jr. all but locking up his NL MVP award with 40 home runs, over 40 home runs, and over 70 stolen bases. The only player in the 40-70 club. And I know, Gardie, we talked a lot about this pre-show. Yep. No, golf. Absolutely. Golf, clap it up. But Gardie, we talked about a pre-show, obviously a deep team, 916 runs batted in, 947 total runs, a plus 231 run differential. How many, like 5 players hitting over 30 home runs, 5 or 6 players hitting over 100 RBIs. Gardie, all in all, an offensive output that, quite frankly, we might not see again anytime soon from a team in the MLB.
Oh, especially when we're thinking about what today's Major League Baseball looks like with launch angles and everything else, because yes, they did tie that team record for home runs. But unlike, and we'll get into this a little later, like the team we are about to face in the DS, the Philadelphia Phillies, they are not just a boom or bust home run, that's it team. They have phenomenal contact. They do great in 2-strike counts. They actually have 6 players in their regular everyday starting lineup who hit 275 or better, which I know I've been a very old man yelling at clouds on this for 3 years now, but 275 is apparently the new 300. Batting deflation or whatever you'd call it, the equivalent of grade inflation, but the opposite way. So it's a very we played great baseball throughout the entire season. We had 3 guys hit over 40 jacks. Austin Riley could have made that 4. He had 37. He also just missed that 100 RBI club with 97. But just phenomenal baseball all around. Realistically, maybe the only place that you could say we're shaky in going into this DS is our starting pitching, solely because of what happens with Charlie Morton. But at the same time, we are the best team in baseball, and we're starting 2 games in Truist Park, the better of the 2 banks that represent stadiums. So, Ryan, I'll let you delve into the pitching. I think that's more of a you thing than a me thing. I like home runs. I'm a simple man. But we know we have Spencer Strider starting in game 1, and unlike last season, he's actually going to be healthy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And a quick note on Acuna, he is one of only a handful of players to join the 40-40 club. He did it 5 days earlier when he homered against the Nationals, joining Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, Jose Canseco, and Alfonso Soriano in that 40-40 club. He is the first player to do it in 17 years. 17 years since somebody has went 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases. But Gardie, you're absolutely right. Let's dive into the meat and potatoes of this show. The NLDS opening up tomorrow, October 7th at Truist Park, game 1 against the Philadelphia Phillies. The Braves are 8-5 against the Phillies this year on the season. And I know Gardie, you'll dive a little bit more into the deep end with some of those things. Spencer Strider expected to get the ball against Ranger Suarez for the Phillies. Strider going 7-0 with a 2.01 ERA over his 7 career starts against the Phillies. He's went 3-0 with a 1.45 against them this year. I also set a MLB single season record this year with 281 strikeouts. And Brandon Marsh for the Philadelphia Phillies is the only player active on the Phillies roster that is hitting over 225 against Spencer Strider. Gardie, going into game 1 at home, I mean, this is the guy you give the ball to. And I think it's a no-brainer. His first 20-win season as well to boot for Spencer Strider this year.
And think about that mustache. I mean, gosh, that doesn't get talked about enough. Yeah, I mean, shit, mine's so bad, but his is so good. That's why he wins 20 games and throws 288,
He puts a
81
little quick,
strikeouts,
he
and I
puts a
sit here
little
and
quick
talk about
creed
him.
in it. He puts a little quick creed in it.
Maybe. Whatever. But no, to your point, yeah, the only guy who's hitting above 225 against Spencer Strider looks like he should be an extra on Duck Dynasty. Like, and you're in Truist Park. You have an 8-5 record, as we said. You have a total run differential of plus 16 in those 13 games against them this season, scoring, my math is correct, which we well noted is terrible, 74 total runs against them this season. Kyle Wright's gotten 2 of those 5 losses. It was an opener game and one of them. Look, Jeff Passan just, I still don't understand how they do these qualitative, like, a 10 is so great and they're ranked 10, whatever. He does these stats. But the Atlanta Braves are a very historic team when it comes to contact batting. They had a 501 slugging average, which puts them above the 27 Yankees, the 97 Mariners, the 53 Dodgers. There's another, the 76 Reds, that big red machine team. They actually just hit the ball. They hit well on 0-2 counts. They stay in counts. They extend counts. And now it's the playoffs. Obviously, you have that little bit of a rest versus rust thing, but at the end of the day, we have a better lineup than they do. We have a better productive contact. That's that 501 slugging stat. We have far higher clutchness. Apparently, how do you calculate that? Don't know in a video game nor in real life. As I said, 2-strike aptitude. We're number 1 in baseball at that this season, which is a kind of a crazy thing to think about, but also why we have the best record in baseball and have, I think, like a 270 team batting average. As I said, really only shaky with our pitchers and maybe our relievers, but our relievers have looked better as the season has gone on. Horacio Iglesias looks way better than our boy Kenley Jansen did last season in that closer position and has come alive more in the second half. So, overall, I'm excited, but I think something that you have said and stressed to me pre-show and even in text messages is right. We really need to take these first 2 at home. I actually was fortunate enough, did a little scouting on the road in Citizens Bank Park at the game 2 where they clinched that wild card. And I'm going to tell you, it was electric. Like, if I am a hitter walking into that environment, I am scared. If I'm a pitcher who gives up a home run or even, a string of hits, they're going to get on you and it's going to be deafening. It's going to be loud. We're going to have some pitch comm problems. So we really, you said it best. I think if we split, we're going to have a little bit of trouble getting through the series, especially if we think about what happened last season. But I think we have a really, really good chance with Max Fried and Spencer Strider to start 2. And as you said, they could potentially pitch 4 out of 5 games this series.
Absolutely. Yes. As everything seems to be on track with Max Fried's blister on his pitching hand. And as long as that heals and there is seemingly no lingering effects with that, Max Fried is expected to get the ball in game 2, with Bryce Elder currently slotted to be a game 3 starter. And with how the dates work out, you'd be able to throw Fried and Strider once again in game 4 and game 5, in Citizens Bank Park. And obviously if it comes back to Truist Park, with no short rest in their pitching program. Obviously you're going into this round without Charlie Morton. He is still dealing with some lingering effects from straining a ligament in his right index finger. I know Gardie and I called it soft because they only had it listed as inflammation the last time we recorded. And we realized, like, this is your index finger and he's a right-handed pitcher. So probably trying to snap with a strained ligament, trying to snap a curveball, probably not that easy. So I, at least, and I know Gardie probably feels the same way, we're going to apologize to Charlie Morton. We're going to apologize. Hand up. That's on us. Didn't do our homework. Best of luck, Charlie. Get well soon. We'll hope to see you for game 1 at Truist Park in the NLCS. Get a nice little pop from the crowd for that one. But right now, Gardie, you mentioned it. You're going in with 3 starting pitchers, right? If Max Fried is ready to go in game 2. So you'd have to figure that it'll be Strider in 1, all things go well, Fried in 2, Elder in 3. So that's going to be a good test for the rookie to see, is he able to pitch in a hostile environment? And if Elder comes out and balls, that's a telling sign for the future of the Braves starting rotation. You'd go back to Strider in 4 and back to Fried in 5 at home. But if there is a problem with Max Fried, you have the ability to go to Kyle Wright or AJ Smith-Shawver, or you go with an opener. Kyle Wright right now currently expected to be used as a relief pitcher just because he really hasn't thrown as a starting pitcher all season, considering he came off of shoulder surgery. But right now, Gardie, I know you mentioned it, the bullpen is rested. You have Brad Hand and AJ Minter, who are your two lefties. Brad Hand has certainly done better. Harper went 0 for 2 against Brad Hand this year. Schwarber is 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. And Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott are the other two Philly left-handed hitters who they both went hitless against Brad Hand. So picking up Brad Hand, and I know he was across the clubhouse at Citizens Bank Park this time last year, that's going to be a key value pickup, Gardie. And I think that Brad Hand, honestly, providing that veteran leadership in the back end, in the bullpen, honestly, your kind of final thoughts on the bullpen's a little deeper. And, the last 2 weeks, Snit has had the opportunity to rest a lot of people.
Yeah, I think overall, we are in a better position with our pitching than I thought we were going to be, when we recorded 2 weeks ago. Having that rest for your relief pitchers, I think, is going to be big. I also just want to bring up one little tidbit. Ronald Acuna Jr., other than Alfonso Soriano, is the only guy in that 40-40 club to not juice. So let's just give him a little bit more props on that one. Really the second guy to make it to the 40-40 club, in my opinion. But neither here nor there. No, I'm excited. I really think that, especially with a healthy Spencer Strider not having the oblique strain that he had, that you mentioned in last playoffs, having a Max Fried come up, hopefully be healthy after this blister, and figuring out what you're going to do from there, I feel very confident. And honestly, I think we do step up 2-0. And I think that, another thing to think about here is Ronald Acuna Jr. has a full season of health. Obviously, the team has just looked overall better. They had that little, hiccup after the All-Star break, but seemed to come back alive more towards the end and in September. So overall, I'm excited, Rye. I'm ready to go. I'm fired up.
I'm fired up too. And you know what? We hope to hear from you about how fired up you are. So whether you're at home in Truist Park, on the road in Citizens Bank Park, we want to hear from you. We're a fan show. This is a great time of year. This is the best Braves team. And we were here year one when they won the World Series. This is the best Braves team we've seen in our time doing the show. We want to hear from you. We want to hear you get fired up. We want to hear it get loud in Citizens Bank Park of boos from the Philadelphia fan base as we're hanging a 9 spot on them in the third inning. Let them know we mean business. But with that, from Gardie and myself, our next show will probably be right around Game 3 or Game 4. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Braves Bullpen, and let's go Braves.